And you've just heard Rolling On, the title track of Lewis McLaughlin's new EP. And I'm delighted to be joined now by Lewis himself. Hello, Lewis.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm well. Thanks for taking the time to chat to us. But first of all, what can you tell us about the EP Rolling On and the songs on it?
So the EP has got 3 songs on it, and 2 of which have been previously released, songs off of my debut album, which came out back in March. And they're reworks of them, so we've stripped them back. We've got an acoustic version of my song Summer, which is really minimal, and then another version of another one of my songs called You Tell Me. And I guess the idea of the whole EP as well, and then the third song I should say is a new song called Rolling On, and the idea for the entire EP was to make something that was pretty stripped back. I don't think there's any more than 4 instruments on at once on the whole EP, so we wanted to just experiment with, I guess on the album it's quite expansive, there's hundreds of different tracks and stuff, so we wanted to see what my songs would sound like in a more minimal setting.
Right.
So I guess they're, for You Tell Me, like I feel like I'm really into the new version. I feel like it gives the space of, because the song's a bit of a story throughout it, so it gives it space for just listening to the words and sort of, it's rather than the more expansive sort of cinematic version we had on the album. And then Summer is just a bit more like acoustic, like it was written. It's like it feels to me like around a campfire sort of thing. It's a bit like just in a guitar and a fiddle sort of chugging away on the background of it. And then Rolling On so that's got drums and bass and electric and acoustic on it. It's a bit more, it's quite rocky. We went for, it totally scratches the itch of my 14-year-old obsession with Tom Petty.
All right, cool.
I used to love him. I used to listen to him so much. So yeah, that's sort of Neil Young, maybe Hazy Summer, Tom Petty vibes we were going for with that. So yeah, it was a lot of fun to make.
And I guess certainly with the 2 pared down versions of songs we'd already heard, it really does make you focus more on the lyrics and perhaps previously where it's all kind of wrapped up in this kind of really quite lush production.
Yeah.
And did you do that with an aim, because we know you're going on tour, which we'll talk about in a moment, and was that partly with an aim on how you're going to present them when you play them live?
Yeah, exactly. At least for this tour, it's with, so I normally play with I've got a full band, which is 6 of us. But for this tour, we're playing smaller, sort of small intimate venues across Scotland with my trio. So it's just the 3 of us. So the setting is for this tour is intimate, and our music is, we're sort of reworking all of my songs for this tour anyway. Right. So it definitely, we had that in mind.
So it gives people an idea of kind of what to expect from a slightly smaller band. Yeah,
it's more, it's kind of more what I had initially imagined my career, the path to go on, sort of more folky. That's my background.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's more about hearing the songs in a more intimate setting, with less instruments. But yeah, it's just, I guess, just like the focus is on the stories that I'm telling.
And so let's talk a bit about the tour, because it started yesterday. So I take it you're looking forward to the tour.
Yeah, so buzzing to get out. It's the first proper run of shows I've done in a row like that. So we've got 6 dates. And so St. Monans in Fife was yesterday. And then we're in Newton Stewart tonight, which is down in the Borders, and then up to Edinburgh again, and then we're going to go up north to Braemar, who I believe that you're well acquainted with, the lad that booked Braemar shows.
My brother's helped put on gig, and I'm hoping, if all been well, I might be able to make it up there to see you.
Oh, amazing!
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. I've known Andy for a good few years actually. I've not like seen him that many times, but we just through Braemar, like Ellie McLaren, if you know her.
Yes, absolutely.
So done Kaylee's with Andy a couple of times, and I was up in Braemar the other week actually for the folk festival. I'm looking forward to that one too. It's a lovely hall. So then after that, we're up to Aberdeen, to Cafe Drummond's, which I've heard good things. I've not been in.
I've not been for a long time, but it always has a great reputation as a venue.
Right, yeah, that's so I've heard. And then finally we're stopping in, it's actually in Kyle, just next to Sky in a place called the Skybridge Studios, which is going to be a great one for us, for the trio, because we all went to somewhere called Plockton Music School.
Oh, yeah.
We all attended that when we were in high school. So we're actually doing a workshop over the weekend with the kids in the school and staying in Plockton. So yeah, a bit of a trip down memory lane for the end of the tour, which I'm just buzzing to do all of those shows.
Oh, brilliant. I thought you had a Glasgow gig as well. Is that later on?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So that's not till November, actually. Yeah, we're playing at the Great Western Festival that's not till the 12th of November. Yeah. So there's a big break in between those.
Yeah. Great Western Festival is a good festival, actually.
Yeah. We played the Great Eastern Festival in Edinburgh back in May, which was amazing. And I think it's a pretty similar vibe. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be good.
So how did you start making music, Lewis? What kind of kicked you off?
Both my folks play. My dad plays the guitar and the pipes, and Mum sings. And she used to play whistles and guitars as well. So they were in like a folk duo, trad duo, when they were younger, and they used to tour the world playing music together. And Dad's still on the scene. Dad still plays with a few different like folk bands and stuff. He used to play. I don't know if you've heard of a Scots singer called Mick West.
Yes, that rings a bell, yeah.
So Dad used to play in the Mick West band back in the day. And yeah, he plays with a fiddler called Stuart Hardy now. So he still does loads of folk stuff. And my mum actually runs the Fèis in Edinburgh, which is a Gaelic music workshop. So music has been very much a huge part of my life since the get-go.
Yeah.
I started playing the fiddle when I was 5 or 6. And then slowly picked up all sorts of different instruments. Found songwriting something I found a bit later, kind of on my own, actually, off my own back. But musically, yeah, the family it's in my blood, definitely.
Yeah, it's almost like you couldn't have avoided it by the sounds.
Yeah, I tried and I couldn't avoid it.
And I mean, and apart from your parents, what were your kind of earliest inspirations? What kind of got you? Like,
I guess as a kid, I was surrounded by folk for like Scottish trad, but also Mum and Dad loved singer-songwriters, John Martins and Joni Mitchell and Bob Dylan's. Gillian Welch as well, loads of Stephen Fearing and like countless of that sort of generation of singers. So that was my upbringing. But then I think it was when I was in high school you just start to find your own music. I think my sister got me a Bruce Springsteen record. It's his third one. It's the one his like first break.
Born to Run.
Yeah, Born to Run. And I remember sitting with my CD player listening to Thunder Road.
Yeah.
And it was just the music's amazing. It was the story, and it just sort of keeps going, and there's just so much to it. And I just had such an image in my head. I was like 14. I was just blown away. And since then it's expanded more and more. I've got more and more obsessed with the songs and songwriters. Also more current bands like Villagers or Bon Iver are just huge influences on me. I'm still obsessed with both of those bands.
That's interesting because most of the people you mentioned there are storytellers as well as songwriters. Yeah,
I think that's where I get it from. That's what I'm really, really inspired by and love doing myself. I guess as a Scot, as someone coming from the folk scene too, so those songs are all very much, even more so like story songs. They'll be like really intricate, really like 6-minute songs about some story from, I don't know, the Isles or wherever it is. Yeah, very much like story-based songs is what I really love.
And there seems to be a real resurgence in that. This year is actually the year of telling stories.
Is it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who it is. It's to do with one of the big Scottish bodies has funded this for the year. But for instance, up in Caithness recently, they had a storytelling festival where and it was linked to Canada and it was linked to Scandinavia as well. So you had you had this kind of strange link of the Vikings maybe lending to their culture, but then people moving away to Canada and North America as well.
Sure. Amazing.
And I think you're right, because you mentioned earlier on about imagining these songs being played around a fire, around the campfire, and that's a lot of how folk music was done, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it still is to this day. Like my whole upbringing was sitting around maybe not a campfire, but sitting around a kitchen table, and everyone does their piece, and they sing their song, whether it's their song or whether it's a folk song that everyone knows, and sharing stories, or even if it's not a song, if it's a tune, if it's not, there's no words to it. Before, like, such a big part of it is you tell the story of the tune. Even like current, like a tune that someone wrote yesterday, they'll tell a big story of like whatever it is that inspired the tune. So yeah, just stories are I guess the centerpiece of that all. It just like the word of mouth and stuff is such a wonderful thing.
And often they get changed as they move along. Different areas, different people have different versions or different.
Yeah, because they just get I guess they get saturated, and people get one bit wrong, or people over tell a little bit. They make it a little bit more interesting, and then that just which is great. Like that, I think that's the essence of a story, is that it can expand and it can change, or people can rewrite it, whatever. Yeah, for sure.
And so what's next for you after the EP and the tour, or is that looking too far ahead?
Got a few things on the horizon. We're back in the studio doing some recording, hopefully pretty soon. I've got that's probably me gig wise for the end of the year. This in January just got announced, actually. We're playing a show at Celtic Connections.
Oh, brilliant.
We're playing at the CCA, which I'm so looking forward to that, because Celtic, like, as I'm just saying about my background in folk music, Celtic is such a important one for me to do. It because since I can remember, I going on the website when it gets announced and looking through all the bands and coming, like, I'm from Edinburgh, but I would like force mum and dad to come through. Our mum and dad would be playing at Celtic. So yeah, it feels great to see myself on the lineup this year. So I'm really looking forward to that.
That's fantastic. And that room in the CCA is musically, it's absolutely brilliant for sound and everything. So that's going to be great. Yeah,
it's great.
Well, Lewis, thank you so much for taking the time to have a chat with me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And this is Lewis McLaughlin and the acoustic version of Summer.